What's up, YouTube? It's a beautiful morning, beautiful Friday morning. Here, getting in a little bit of watering, abundance of green. Kind of getting rid of some of these callaloo. They're getting a bit overgrown, and after a while, the body and the branch of it, the stem should say, get hard, and then it's not that easy to clean and operate with, and cook all that. Take longer to cook. Doesn't really taste as soft and tender. It's gonna be more hardy, almost like a almost that plastic effect that okra get. So I'm getting rid of these and prepare for new spring, new growth. But that's not my worries anyway. But just featuring a little bit of my greenery. I got some like for this example, I'm gonna use it to make mulch. Not so much the one with the seed, as it's really a seed to get hard to get rid of. So I'm not really wanting to use this to make seed or to make mulch. End up creating a lot of seed in that mulch. Callaloo seed is really hard to get rid of. Literally that patch by the house, I've been regrowing all these years from just the one time I planted. It keep growing back from seed falling off from the previous year. So I don't even plant callaloo on a basis like new every season. So I keep growing back. So got some basil here, definitely overgrowing. As you can see when it start to blossom and bloom all over. Definitely a beautiful thing for pollinate, and the bees and them love it. But once you get your basil start to do that, then it start to grow, and same thing. Not that basil, it's a bad thing when it get hard. But sign of blooming, it's more hardiness, and it start to fan out and get wider, get thinner. So it's the best thing to just prune it. I can use this for medicinal purpose, make tea, put in culinary food, whatever. So we're not throwing them away, we're just pruning a little. But yeah, we have a ton of tomato this season. And as you see, I grow tomato vertical this season, and I have, a couple of videos to share with you guys on this whole era here, and busy with the kid and with the baby going to work. Sometimes things pass you by, and it could just be that 1 week and all of that. And I remember a moment when this was very overgrown, and in the beginning I didn't have all of the tomatoes going up, and string. So a lot of it fell over while they were like already overgrown and big. Not necessarily with fruit. Some had fruit on it. I had to walk through this whole thing. So imagine walking through this canopy of tomato, picking them up one by one and tying them up so that they continue to go upward. It was a challenge, and never a mistake to make. You live and you learn. So I will share that experience. Not all of it I didn't caught on video, but especially during all this hard work, not having anyone sometime to help me create a video or something. I just maybe place this tripod in position one place, or like now I have the phone in my hand or whatever. But it's not always easy, especially when you have to work. So sometimes the work comes first and the video doesn't always come in to play. But we always keep trying. But yeah, this is definitely one of them videos that just giving a little feature, a little highlight of what's going on. What we grow on the little hillside here. I remember when I came here in 2013, this whole hillside was just bushes, just like here between me and the neighbors. All you see all these are pollinator, really. It's mint, it's a type of mint, not the very strongest mint, but It's bloom, as you see, animal on it, insects on it. It's a beautiful thing. Earlier I had this beautiful oh, here it is. Look at that. Beautiful, huh? Ah. Yeah, I remember before I even start the video, I was like, oh, I gotta get this thing in the video, and I almost forgot it. Beautiful bug. You know, you have these things come around when you're growing organic, you know. If I was spraying anything, you wouldn't have these things coming around. You know what I mean? Look at honeybee. Just organic, you know. That's what this all means about organic and the beautiful organic. You know, sometimes in your thought you can't remember everything. Like I know this bug and it's in my head, but I can't say it out right now. If you see this video and I don't get around to say what the book name is, you know, you can always share your thoughts, share your experience, your comment. And you know, what you do, trying to fight me? You know, these creatures, you know, they're pretty sometimes get defensive, you know, and I know he's definitely not no look walk over. Yo, what the name of this thing? Yeah, it's funny. You know, I'm in tune with definitely geographic and just nature and all that, and it's a deadly bug. It's not no look walk over. What? Yeah, I'm not gonna try to waste the video and thinking the name of this bug, but it's definitely a fighter. You know, you would be surprised to see all the stuff that it can kill, all the other bugs. You know, there's not many things that choose to wanna eat it, get successful. You know, it's definitely a good defensive bug. So yeah, the name is just not clicking in my head, and that's why sometimes, you know, having conversation you lose thought, and you know, you come to memory after. But yeah, it's not manatee. I'm not trying to remember. I'm trying. Ah, it's not no manatee or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a cool creature. But yeah, you see all this blooming, just leave for more openness for the plant, you know, to bloom, to branch out more, spread more instead of like just start to bloom and branch out into this just airy plant instead of just bushy, you know, and less leaf when you start to grow blossom and, you know, bloom away. You see left leaf. It's like telling the plant to produce seed and just, you know, quit growing. So you definitely don't want all these blossoms on it with all this beautiful pepper. Beautiful organic. Add some pepper in here as well. And like I said, you know, I've been eating and enjoying especially like immediate pepper. We've been picking and eating. Some tomato sauce has been made already. That's what we typically use, a lot of the tomato and extend to make sauce. You know. But yeah, I definitely will get better at capturing, you know, great moment. You know, I feel like word it off where people can learn a lot from. You know, these tomato are doing great still. You know, a lot of it was already reaped. You know, there's still a lot more to reap. Still would have a lot more to grow, but as you see, you know, after a certain point, frost start to come over. We still do have a couple of months before all of that. You know, we got some zucchini here. They're not doing the best. I feel like that's what with zucchini as well, you know, hot weather. So I know the next couple months should be great. You know, with this, I should have them recover back after, especially after these tomato kind of not pushing out so much. But all that, you know, thing with garden and insect and just, you know, bugs. So all ants just hanging out. And if you can see, you know, that's literally some type of aphid thing lay their eggs right there. Some larvae. So the ants like that stuff because it's sweet, you know. Could be what you call that green one again, but yeah, definitely it's not something that I want in the garden. If these hatch, this could be an infestation of some bad bugs. And that's exactly what is this. So this whole callaloo is coming up. Whole thing is going away. And yeah, I'm most likely gonna put these on the pavement and just crush them. Cause I remember some type of aphid green thing. I forgot what this direct name of it is, but once they infestate, you know, it's even the next season they will come back. It seems like they leave their larva, but yeah, some got laid on there as you can see. Get it in the video better. All that is like insect larvae. That's not nothing to do with the ants. The ants, they're just hanging out on it, eating the sugar and the sweetness of it, but soon that would have been some hatchling of whatever it is. And we don't want that. Oh yeah. So blessings. Keep growing. Keep growing organic. Look at that. Some type of bug, I don't know sure what either. Like I said, when you do organic, you see stuff like this all over. Look at this mint, you know what I mean? For example, this mint been growing since I came here. You know, long before 2013, and there's so much of it I've destroyed. It was all in this area here. Obviously, can't have mint take over everything and it's not all usable. You have definitely a lot more stronger mint and that's not the best mint, but I do use it occasionally, and with the whole pollination and the whole thing of it being such a great pollinator, it's always in the background. Same thing with my as you see, look at the mint still right there. So this whole side of hill was full of it, you know. Same thing with the oregano. You know, they have all different type of oregano, like the Japanese oregano. I know they claim to be one of the strongest medicinally. So mine is not Japanese, so obviously I don't utilize it as much. But same thing is such a great pollinator. Check this out, guys. And same thing, you know, this tomato could have been better, but you know, they definitely don't get the care as it should be. You know, a lot of time it's all dried up, it doesn't get the water. I'm not here, I'm off to work, and it's right after the pavement, so not a lot of soil. I'm the one that cushion it up to get some mulch here, and so that they have a little support. But anyway, the whole thing of this is that it came up on itself. You know, it's just the richness of the area, organic. So this is some seed from some tomato grown already, and it decided to come up on its own. Look how beautiful this is, you know. I'm going to read up these sucker in the middle. You know, pruning tomato, you know, and especially when you're growing tomato vertical. Make sure you get into this section here. This center part here is called the sucker. So the node that you see grow in between the stems and the branches here in the middle. You see? It's right there in the middle. It's called a sucker in the tomato. It's a part of the plant in the sense that, you know, you make up the body of the plant, but it really doesn't do a lot. It's honestly just grow out, give the plant bush and body, and it doesn't produce, and it doesn't do much. So especially people who grow vertical, you know, for big commercial grow, they always get rid of these things, you know, especially when they grow in vertical, because they don't grow any blossom, if you realize, look, this is the part that grow food and bear fruit. It's always off to the side, just like the regular branch. You know, so anything in between the nodes, they're called suckers, and they really doesn't produce nothing. You realize here this one is off, you know, same thing. Off to the side. Let's see if I can see another sucker limb. This one is doing this good thing by itself. It's not have a lot of sucker going on, especially it's not a big plant, but these, you know, when these grow out, they can get a really long bushy stem, no fruit. I'll show you some on here. I already prune a lot of these, you know, but all these are like would be suckers. And for example, like this is a sucker. You know, this is where you get your fruit from. Obviously, the fruit is just as like a regular branch going off to the side. These sucker, you get rid of them, you will find yourself producing more and growing more fruit, because they really doesn't produce much. They take a lot from the plant, and the tomatoes especially can do without these suckers. You know, so you know, here's another one. You know, it will literally just grow, and you don't see any production from it until you see these ones that, you know, with the stems that off the side of the plant. Like even this, it grows some fruit opposed to like this big giant sucker here. So yeah, in the middle of growing in the season, getting rid of these will just let your plant produce more, especially growing on the vertical, and it will give you a more thinner plant, so that it doesn't have all this bush. So hence why all these were so close together, and you still have all this success and all these production and all this growth. This is what the whole idea of pruning it and getting rid of these sucker is about. But as I said, this bed here wasn't the perfect example, as in it was left up and didn't, you know, kept up from in the beginning. And you know, this whole string, you know, it's a whole process. Pretty easy process, easy to handle, but it's good to keep after. A plant grow fast, tomato especially. And, you know, but yeah, all these callaloo overgrown. And I get rid of them, especially before a ton of seeds start to grow. This is a new bed. This is first season of production, you know, so I don't want a bunch of callaloo seed trying to grow up next year in it. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Nick from Yardman Garden Arts TV. Check me out on YouTube, follow my page, you know, like, share, subscribe to the thing. Join on to the journey, and keep growing, you know, keep the blessings flow. Organic. But yeah, it's just a blessing. This plant here is an example of it. Literally came out of nothing. Even you should see earlier, it almost was just bare pavement. It wasn't until I support the root of it by just pushing in stuff to support it, gathering the, you know, the dirt. And that's the thing with, you know, this is another crop and drop. You know, breaking off the stem and the branches of plant and drop it right at the root, and it acts as fertilizer, especially nitrogen. You know, plant use more nitrogen in the growing season, not necessarily blooming. You know, while it's growing, use more nitrogen. You know, meaning from planting to bearing fruit, it will consume more nitrogen. Not so much when it's already have fruit. You know, but anyway, stay blessed. Keep growing organic. Subscribe to my channel, you know. Beautiful plant. I didn't plant it. I'm gonna get a nice handful of beautiful vegetable from it. Can't complain, you know. I'm not even sure. It definitely look Roma tomato, I can tell. Definitely it's a Roma tomato. I can guarantee you that you can tell, which is one of the best tomato for making sauce. Less seed, more fruit, more food. I mean, grow organic. And remember, the more you know, the more you learn, the more you grow for free. Amen. Alright? The more you know, the more you grow for free. That is our slogan, that is our motto. You know what I mean? So keep growing for free. These all free right here. You know, always save your seed, grow. And that's what we mean, you know. Saving seed, grow from seed. You know. Propagating plant from the store, you buy a plant, you can keep growing from the same plant if you want more of that same plant, other than buying new ones, you know. So the more you know, the more you grow for free. Alright, stay blessed.